Hello and welcome. Today we're going to tackle one of the biggest, most important shifts happening in cybersecurity right now, zero trust. Now, I know it can sound a little intense, but by the end of this, you'll see exactly how you can use Microsoft Azure to build a really powerful, modern security strategy right from the ground up. All right, let's get right into it. So first things first, to really get where we're going with zero trust, we have to understand why the old ways of doing things, the old ways of thinking about security, well, they just don't work anymore. It's really time for a total rethink. For years and years, we all kind of relied on this idea of the castle and moat security model. You know the drill. Build a big, strong wall, your network perimeter, and just assume that anyone and anything already inside that wall is safe, that it's trusted. But think about it. With remote work, cloud apps, everyone connecting from everywhere, is that fortress even a real thing anymore? Or have the walls kind of disappeared without us even noticing? And this really lays it all out, doesn't it? The old model was so simple. If you were physically inside the office, you were trusted. But that whole concept of inside is gone. Our people are at home, they're in coffee shops, they're on their phones. Our most important apps and data are living in the cloud. The perimeter hasn't just been breached, it's dissolved. And the biggest, scariest flaw in that old castle model, the moment one bad actor gets past that single wall, they have the keys to the entire kingdom. That's why the modern approach just flips the whole thing on its head. We have to start with the assumption that a breach isn't just possible, it's gonna happen. So, if the old model's broken, what's the fix? Well, this brings us right to the core idea, the guiding principle of zero trust. Here it is, in a nutshell. The big idea is actually pretty simple. We stop giving out free passes based on location. We just stop. It doesn't matter if you're connecting from the corporate headquarters or a public Wi-Fi hotspot in another country. Every single time you try to access something, that request is treated like it's coming from a totally open, potentially hostile network. It has to prove itself every single time. Honestly, if you only take one single thing away from all of this, let it be this phrase right here. This is the heart and soul of the entire zero trust philosophy. We're moving away from that old, comfortable idea of trust, but verify. In this new world, the only rule that matters is never trust, always verify. Okay, so let's get practical. How does this actually work in the real world? Well, the first pillar, the absolute foundation of zero trust, is all about confirming identity. Before we let anyone access anything, we have to be rock solid certain about who they are and if they should even be there. Let's walk through a scenario we all see every single day. Just imagine, you've got a salesperson, they're out on the road, sitting in a coffee shop, they're on their company laptop, hooked up to the public Wi-Fi, and they need to get into your company's super sensitive CRM application. Now, in the old days, this meant firing up a clunky, slow, and often unreliable VPN. But in the zero trust world, this is our chance to apply some real intelligent security. So how do we verify our salesperson? Well, Azure gives us this awesome trio of tools. First, you've got Microsoft Entra ID. Think of it as your single source of truth for who everyone is. Second, we demand strong authentication. That's usually multi-factor authentication or MFA, to make them prove they are who they claim to be. And finally, and this is where the magic really happens, we use conditional access. It's like having a super smart digital bouncer standing at the front door of every single one of your applications. And this table right here shows that bouncer's logic in action. See, conditional access is way smarter than just a username and password. It's a dynamic engine that's asking a bunch of questions in real time. Okay, is this person actually part of the sales team? Yep, check. Is the laptop they're using company managed and up to date? Okay, check. Are they connecting from a country we actually do business in? Yep, check. It's only when we get a green check mark on all of these conditions that the door swings open. If even one of those signals is off, like maybe they're connecting from a strange location, we can instantly block access or challenge them for more proof. All right, so we've confirmed who is asking for access. We're feeling good about their identity, but that's really only half the battle. Now we need to secure the actual path they take to get to that application, and that brings us to our second pillar, making sure the connection itself is safe. As you can see here, the user's request doesn't just take a direct flight. Oh no, it gets routed through a whole series of security checkpoints. First, it gets inspected for any signs of trouble, like common web attacks or malware. Then, instead of just zipping across the public internet, it's funneled through a private, encrypted tunnel. Only after it's passed all those checks does it finally and safely arrive at its destination. And these are the Azure tools that build that secure pathway for us. The Web Application Firewall, or WAF, that's like a specialized bodyguard for your web apps, looking for very specific kinds of attacks. Then you have the Azure firewall, which is more like a general traffic cop for your entire network, filtering all the data coming in and going out. And finally, Azure private endpoints. Those are the things that create those secure, private tunnels, basically making your most important applications completely invisible to the public internet. Now, I know this can all sound pretty complex, but here's the good news. You absolutely do not have to do all of this overnight. The journey to zero trust can and should start with just a few simple, really high-impact steps. In fact, you can make a massive difference in your security posture by just focusing on these 3 foundational controls to start. Just 3. So here they are, your first 3 moves. Number 1, and this is the big one, enforce multi-factor authentication for everyone on everything. Seriously, this one step alone blocks the vast majority of identity attacks. Number 2, start building out those conditional access policies. You don't have to get fancy. Start simple with basic rules for location or device health. And number 3, find your most critical internal apps, your crown jewels, and use private endpoints to pull them off the public internet completely. Just mastering these 3 things will put you light years ahead. And that brings us to maybe the most crucial takeaway of all. Zero trust isn't a box you can buy or a switch you can just flip on. It is a fundamental, strategic shift in your mindset. It's a continuous journey of looking for and removing that risky, implicit trust from every single corner of your digital world. And so that really leaves us with a final question to chew on. In a world where we explicitly verify every user, every device, and every single connection, every single time, what does that word trust even mean for our security anymore? It's a powerful thought, and the answer is really at the heart of how we're going to protect ourselves moving forward. Thanks for joining me.